Nobody really prepares you for this part of the journey. The moment you realize that choosing yourself is uncomfortable before it ever feels empowering. We talk about self-love like it's easy, like it's a hashtag, like it doesn't cost you anything. But the truth is, choosing yourself often means disappointing people, sitting with discomfort, and letting go of versions of yourself that once felt safe. If you've been feeling torn between who you've been and who you're becoming, this conversation is for you. And if you've been waiting for permission to put yourself first, this episode is your sign. And if that tension you're feeling feels familiar, that pull between the old version of you and the one that's emerging, then trust me, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. This is TrueShift, where purpose meets courage and real transformation begins. Welcome back to TrueShift Network. I'm Gladys, and I'm really glad you found your way to this channel. In the last episode, we talked about why you can feel stuck, even when you're doing everything right. But today, we're taking the next step. Because awareness is powerful, right? But action is what actually changes your life. Before we go any further, I want to clear something up. Because the phrase, choosing yourself, it is often misunderstood. When people hear choose yourself, they think it means being selfish or walking away from responsibilities or not caring about anyone else. But that's not what choosing yourself really is. Choosing yourself is about alignment. It's about honesty. It's about no longer abandoning yourself just to keep the peace. It looks like saying no without the guilt. Creating space for rest, for prayer, or reflection. Pursuing something that lights you up even if others don't understand it. It's redefining winning not as applause, but as peace. Choosing yourself isn't about dramatic overnight changes. It's about small, consistent shifts that honor who you're becoming. And I want to be honest with you, I didn't always understand this. I had to learn it the hard way. There was a season in my life when I realized I could no longer live on autopilot. I was making decisions that made sense on paper. Decisions like pleasing others, meeting expectations, checking all the boxes. From the outside, everything looked fine. But inside, I was exhausted. And not just tired, misaligned. The moment I chose myself wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet. It was the moment I admitted, this version of my life is costing me too much. And that's when I realized something important. Choosing yourself isn't hard because it's wrong. It's hard because it forces you to face what you've been avoiding. Choosing yourself brings three things to the surface. 1, the expectation you've been living under. 2, the fear of disappointing people. And 3, the comfort of what's familiar. Many of us were conditioned to believe our worth comes from serving others first. We were taught that self-sacrifice is noble, even when it drains us. But choosing yourself is not abandoning others. It is equipping yourself to show up better for them. You can't pour from an empty cup. You've heard that before. And you can't live in purpose if you are constantly depleted. Staying in the same feels safer than stepping into the unknown. But safety and alignment are not the same thing. And this is where faith really comes in. Because sometimes what feels uncomfortable isn't resistance. It is obedience. Here's something I had to learn the hard way. Obedience to God often requires disappointing people. You cannot fully walk in your calling while constantly seeking approval. And when God calls you to shift, He doesn't always explain the entire plan. He just asks you to trust Him with the first step. I had to live it before I could explain it. For me, choosing myself meant leaving what was slowly killing me, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. It meant walking away from a version of life I had outgrown. And I won't lie, it was uncomfortable. It was lonely at times. It was unfamiliar, but it was also freeing because for the first time in a long time, my life finally matched my values. And that experience taught me something important. Choosing yourself doesn't start with a dramatic leap. It starts with one honest decision, one boundary, one conversation, one choice that says, I matter to you. The first step isn't about changing your whole life. It's stopping the self-betrayal. So instead of telling you exactly what to do, I want to invite you to pause and reflect. Ask yourself this week, where have I been shrinking to stay accepted? What truth have I been avoiding because it requires courage? What would choosing myself look like just for the next step? You don't need all the answers today. You just need honesty. Choosing yourself doesn't mean you're difficult. It means you're evolving. It doesn't mean you're ungrateful. It means you're aligned. And it doesn't mean you love others less. It means you're finally loving yourself enough to stop disappearing. And before we wrap up, I just want to say this. Thank you. Thank you for giving yourself the time to be here. Thank you for listening all the way through. And thank you for being willing to sit with conversations that are not always easy, but are necessary. If something in today's episode stirred something in you, if a sentence made you pause, if a truth felt a little uncomfortable, if you felt seen in a way you didn't expect, I want you to know that wasn't random. That was clarity meeting courage. And I hope you don't rush past that feeling. Take a moment today, even if it's just 5 quiet minutes, to check in with yourself, to ask, where have I been putting myself last? And more importantly, what would it look like to honor myself in this season? You don't have to make a big announcement. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone. And you don't have to have the entire plan figured out. Sometimes choosing yourself looks like rest. Sometimes it looks like honesty. Sometimes it looks like letting go of what no longer fits, even if it once felt safe. And if you're in that in-between space right now, between who you were and who you're becoming, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not lost. You are not late. And you definitely are not failing. You're in transition. And transition is where transformation begins. If this conversation resonated with you, I invite you to stay connected. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Because we're continuing to have honest conversations about alignment, courage, faith, and becoming the woman you are always meant to be. And if you know another woman who's been caring too much, shrinking herself to keep the peace, or waiting for permission she doesn't need, share this episode with her. Let her know she's not alone. I'd also love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me one small way you're choosing yourself this week, even if it feels uncomfortable. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Thank you again for spending this time with me. I do not take it lightly. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, be gentle with yourself. Trust the process. And remember, choosing yourself is not the end of anything. It's the beginning. Bye-bye, friend.